It was an ordinary Tuesday when the world changed forever. The morning sun rose over Colorado as John Garrett drove to work at the Rocky Mountain Space Observation Center. He hummed along to the radio, sipping coffee from his travel mug. Tatamwai, news mentioned something about unusual aurora activity overnight. But John wasn't particularly concerned. As one of the center's senior analysts, he had seen plenty of strange solar phenomena during his 15 years on the job. John pulled into his usual parking spot at 7:45 a.m. He nodded to the security guard and made his way to the main observation deck. His colleague Melissa was already hunched over a monitor, her face pale in the blue glow of the screen. "You need to see this," she said without looking up. Her voice sounded strange. John set down his coffee and leaned over her shoulder. The monitor showed a standard orbital view of Earth from one of their satellites. Except it wasn't standard at all. Scattered across the screen were hundreds of dark objects, arranged in a perfect geometric pattern around the planet. "Is this some kind of system error?" John asked, though he already knew the answer. Melissa shook her head. "We've checked and rechecked. Multiple systems are seeing the same thing." She pulled up another screen showing various wavelength analyses. "They appeared about 3 hours ago, all at once. No approach detected." Before John could respond, the center's director burst through the door, followed by a team of government officials in dark suits. "Conference room. Now," the director said, his voice tight with strain. Across the country in Washington, D.C., Ellen Wright was being woken by her secure phone. As advisor to the Joint Chiefs of Staff, she was accustomed to early calls, but the voice on the other end sounded different this time. Controlled panic barely held in check. "Ma'am, you need to come in immediately. Code Sapphire." Ellen sat bolt upright. Code Sapphire was the designation for confirmed non-terrestrial contact. In 15 years at the Pentagon, she had never heard it used outside of drills. "I'll be there in 20, she said, already moving toward her closet. The drive to the Pentagon was surreal. Morning traffic moved normally. People waited at bus stops. A jogger ran with her dog. None of them knew yet. By the time Ellen reached the Joint Chiefs' secure briefing room, the situation was deteriorating rapidly. Satellite communications worldwide were experiencing interference. Military commanders from Russia, China, and Europe were all calling, demanding information. The president was being moved to the secure bunker at Camp David. "What are they doing?" Ellen asked, looking at the orbital feeds displayed on the main screen. General Harris shook his head. "That's just it. They're not doing anything. They're just sitting there." "Any communication attempts?" "We've tried everything from radio signals to light patterns, no response." Ellen studied the formation. The vessels, if that's what they were, maintained perfect spacing, creating a complex geometric pattern around Earth. They didn't move like anything built by human hands. "We can't let anyone fire on them," she said. "We have no idea what their capabilities are. China's already moving missiles to launch positions, Russia too." Ellen straightened her jacket. "Get me the president." At NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in California, Olivia Martinez had been awake for 36 hours straight. Her team was analyzing every scrap of data they could get from the alien fleet. "They're absorbing radiation," she told the emergency scientific coalition assembled via video conference. "Specific wavelengths from the sun, but they're not charging weapons as far as we can tell. It looks more like feeding." "Feeding?" asked the representative from the European Space Agency. "For energy," Olivia clarified. "Like solar panels, but far more efficient than anything we've developed. They might be replenishing after a long journey." A scientist from Beijing spoke up. "Our readings show minimal heat signatures. Could they be automated? Drones rather than crewed vessels?" Olivia shook her head. "We don't know. We can't penetrate their hulls with any of our scanning technology." Back in Colorado, John Garrett was discovering something odd in the orbital patterns. The alien vessels were positioned exactly at points where Earth's magnetic field lines intersected with certain solar radiation bands. It couldn't be coincidence. "They know exactly where to sit," he muttered to himself. "They understand Earth's magnetosphere better than we do." His phone rang. It was his wife, Karen. "John, the internet is going crazy with rumors. Is it true? Are there really alien ships? John looked around the room. Nobody had explicitly told him not to share information, but national security protocols were clear. I can't talk about work, honey. Just stay home with the kids today, okay? The school called. They're closing as a precaution. People are starting to panic. John closed his eyes. Tell the kids I love them. I'll be home as soon as I can. By noon, the first official government statement was released globally. It confirmed the presence of unidentified objects in Earth orbit and urged calm while the situation was assessed. It wasn't enough to prevent the initial wave of panic. Store shelves emptied of supplies. Traffic jammed highways as people fled cities. Religious groups gathered in prayer. Others partied like it was the end of the world. The stock market plummeted, then froze. Gas prices doubled overnight. Social media platforms crashed under the strain of billions trying to share information and connect with loved ones. At the United Nations, an emergency session descended into chaos as representatives demanded action, answers, anything. Ellen Wright stood in the Pentagon War Room watching global military assets mobilize on the tracking board. Chinese submarines were moving into position. Russian bombers were in the air. American missile silos were being prepped. This is exactly what we need to avoid, she told General Harris. If one nation fires, others will follow. We have no idea what these beings are capable of. The president agrees with you, the general said, but the Chinese premier is demanding a show of force. Ellen looked at the latest satellite imagery. The alien fleet hadn't changed position or shown any aggressive moves despite all the military activity below. They could have attacked immediately if that was their intention, she noted. The fact that they haven't might be our only hope. In the gathering darkness of that first day, humanity held its collective breath. Military vessels from various nations edged closer to the alien fleet, keeping their distance but establishing a loose perimeter. Every communication attempt went unanswered. As night fell across America, John Garrett finally took a break from analyzing data. He stepped outside the facility and looked up at the night sky. With the naked eye, he couldn't see the alien ships, but he knew they were there, silently watching. The stars looked the same as they always had, but everything had changed. Whatever happened next, humanity would never see the universe the same way again. 5 days passed since the alien fleet's arrival, and Earth remained in a state of suspended tension. After the initial panic, a strange calm settled over the world as people realized the aliens were not immediately hostile. Schools reopened, though attendance was low. Some businesses resumed operations, but the global economy remained shaky. World leaders met in an emergency summit in Geneva. The outcome was the formation of the First Contact Committee, a hastily assembled group of scientists, military personnel, and diplomats from major nations. Their mission was simple but unprecedented: establish communication with the visitors. William Beck watched the snow fall outside his office window at the University of Vermont. As a professor of linguistics with a background in cryptography, he had spent his career studying how languages evolved and how meaning was constructed. He never imagined these skills would be relevant to communicating with aliens. His phone rang. It was a number he didn't recognize with a Washington, D.C. area code. Professor Beck, this is General Harris from the Pentagon Joint Command. We need your expertise. How soon can you be ready to travel? Within hours, William found himself on a military transport plane headed for a secret facility in Nevada. He wasn't the only academic being gathered. The plane also carried physicists, biologists, anthropologists, and computer scientists from top universities around the country. At the facility, William met Ellen Wright, who was coordinating the scientific teams for the First Contact Committee. "Thank you for coming, Professor," she said, shaking his hand. "We're assembling the best minds we can find." "I'm not sure how much help I'll be," William admitted. "We have no baseline for alien language structures." Ellen nodded. "That's why we're focusing on mathematics and physics first. Universal constants that any advanced civilization would recognize." The facility was a hive of activity. Scientists huddled around displays showing the alien fleet. Military personnel moved with purpose through the corridors. In the main control room, William saw Olivia Martinez directing a team analyzing data from the ships. "We've detected energy fluctuations," she explained when William was introduced. "They started about 24 hours ago. Subtle, but definitely there." "What do you think it means?" William asked. "Could be anything. Internal systems activating, communication between their ships, or maybe they're scanning us. The pattern is too regular to be random." Ellen guided William to his workstation. "Your job is to help design communication attempts. We've been broadcasting basic mathematical sequences, prime numbers, atomic structures. So far, nothing's worked." "Maybe we're thinking too conventionally," William suggested. "What if their communication doesn't use sound or light as we understand them?" While the scientific teams worked, Navy Commander Frank Miller prepared for a risky mission. He would pilot a small research vessel closer to the alien fleet than anyone had yet ventured. The ship was equipped with specialized communication equipment designed by the best minds at NASA and DARPA. "Remember, this is observation and contact only," Ellen told Frank during the final briefing. "At the first sign of hostility, you withdraw immediately." Frank nodded. He was an experienced test pilot with over 3,000 flight hours, but nothing in his training had prepared him for this mission. The research vessel launched from a carrier in the Pacific Ocean the next morning. As it climbed toward orbit, Frank felt the weight of humanity's future on his shoulders. The vessel was unarmed, a deliberate choice to avoid appearing threatening. "Approaching designated coordinates," Frank reported as his ship neared the geometric edge of the alien formation. Up close, the alien vessels were even more impressive. Sleek structures with no visible engines or weapons, their surfaces reflecting the sun's light in ways that seemed to shift and change as he watched. For 72 hours, Frank's ship broadcast a continuous series of messages designed by the First Contact team. Mathematical sequences, atomic structures, simple pictographs, and basic linguistic patterns, all aimed at demonstrating intelligence and a desire to communicate. On the third day, something changed. One of the alien ships, smaller than the others, detached from the formation and moved toward Frank's vessel. It stopped at a distance of approximately 1 mile. "Contact control, I have movement," Frank reported, his heart racing. "One ship has approached my position." In the Nevada facility, the control room erupted in controlled chaos. Scientists crowded around monitors. Military officers tensed. "What's it doing?" Ellen asked. "Just sitting there," Frank replied. "No aggressive movements." William Beck watched the live feed with fascination. "Try the mathematical sequence again," he suggested. Frank transmitted the sequence, a series of prime numbers followed by the value of pi to 50 decimal places. The response was immediate. The alien ship emitted a pulse of light that exactly matched the pattern of Frank's transmission. "They're mirroring us," William said, excitement building in his voice. "This is how it starts. They're confirming. They understand the basic concept of communication." Over the next few hours, the exchanges grew more complex. The alien ship began modifying the signals, adding new mathematical relationships that Frank's computers struggled to analyze. Meanwhile, back in Colorado, John Garrett had been digging through classified databases. What he found disturbed him deeply. There were files, heavily redacted, indicating that similar energy signatures had been detected entering the solar system 3 years earlier. The reports had been dismissed as instrument errors and buried. John downloaded the files to a secure drive and called Olivia Martinez at the Nevada facility. "I think they've been here before," he told her when she answered. "Or at least near our solar system. And someone knew about it." "Are you sure?" Olivia asked, lowering her voice. "The data matches too perfectly to be coincidence. I'm sending you encrypted files now. Someone in the government has been hiding this." Olivia looked around the busy control room. "Come to Nevada. Bring everything you have. We need to compare notes." As day 7 of the alien presence dawned, William Beck made a breakthrough in the communication efforts. The mathematical exchanges had evolved into a crude but functional symbolic language. The aliens were learning English at an astonishing rate, absorbing vocabulary and grammar from the transmissions. The first clear message from the aliens came at 3:17 a.m. Nevada time. It was simple but profound. We watch, we wait, we protect. Ellen. Wright stared at the transcript in disbelief. Protect? What does that mean? Who are they protecting? William shook his head. I don't know. But one thing is clear. They didn't just arrive. That message implies they've been watching us for some time. As the team worked to formulate a response, a technician burst into the room. Ma'am, we're detecting massive energy surges from the fleet. All ships are powering up systems we haven't seen active before. Ellen looked at the monitors. The alien vessels were shifting formation, creating a new pattern around Earth. Are they preparing to attack? Someone asked. No, William said, studying the patterns. Look at how they're positioning themselves. It's not an attack formation. It's a shield. The First Contact Committee worked day and night to improve communications with the alien fleet. 2 weeks after first contact, they established a reliable translation system using mathematical principles as a foundation. The aliens, who called themselves the Guardians, had an understanding of human languages that seemed impossibly advanced. William Beck led the linguistic team, spending 18-hour days refining the translation algorithms. The breakthrough came when he realized the aliens weren't just learning human language. They already knew it. They're not starting from scratch, he explained to Ellen Wright during a late-night briefing. They understand our syntax, our idioms, even our cultural references. That's not possible unless they've been studying us for a very long time. Ellen frowned. How long are we talking about? Centuries at minimum, William said. Maybe longer. As communications improved, the aliens revealed more about themselves. They claimed to have observed Earth since the earliest human civilizations. They described their role as watchers and protectors, though they remained vague about what exactly they were protecting humanity from. Meanwhile, John Garrett arrived at the Nevada facility with his encrypted files. Olivia Martinez met him, at the entrance, her face showing the strain of sleepless nights. I've found more, John said without preamble. Military protocols were activated the moment the fleet appeared, protocols specifically designed for this scenario. They shouldn't exist unless someone knew this might happen. Olivia led him to a secure room where they could talk privately. I've been analyzing the radiation patterns from the ships, she said. They match anomalous readings our satellites have picked up dozens of times over the past 50 years, always dismissed as equipment malfunctions. They've been coming and going, John said, and certain people in our government knew. Ellen Wright was dealing with her own disturbing discovery. Deep in classified Pentagon files, she found references to a program called Starwatch that began in 1967. The program had documented unusual atmospheric phenomena and orbital anomalies, consistent with the technology they were now seeing in the Guardian fleet. She confronted General Harris with her findings. How long have we known about them? The general looked tired. I was only briefed after they arrived. But yes, some people knew. A small group has been monitoring their activities for decades. Why wasn't this shared with the public? Ellen demanded. Would you have recommended telling the world that alien ships regularly visit our planet? The panic we've seen these past weeks would have happened 50 years ago, without the benefit of our current technology to understand and communicate with them. Before Ellen could respond, an aide rushed in. The Guardians are requesting direct communication with specific individuals. The list of requested contacts puzzled everyone. It included scientists and military personnel currently working on the First Contact team, which made sense. But it also included ordinary citizens, a librarian from Iowa, a farmer in Georgia, a school teacher from Oregon, people with no apparent connection to space research or government. Why these people? Ellen asked. No one had an answer as William Beck continued decoding the increasingly complex messages from the Guardians. He noticed references to something the translation system initially rendered as the approaching storm. With refinement, a more accurate translation emerged. The Harvesters. They're talking about another alien species, William told the committee. One they consider hostile. Are you saying there's another alien fleet coming? Ellen asked. That appears to be what they're warning us about, William confirmed. The Guardians are positioning themselves as a defensive screen around Earth. They're not here for us. They're here to protect us from something else. The revelation sent shockwaves through the committee. The idea that Earth was caught in the middle of some interstellar conflict was almost too much to process. John Garrett and Olivia Martinez, meanwhile, had discovered something else. In the classified files, they found records of human-Guardian interactions throughout history. Each incident had been carefully hidden, explained away as natural phenomena or mass hallucinations. Look at this, John said, pointing to a file about an incident in 1983. Soviet early warning systems had detected what appeared to be incoming American missiles. The world had come to the brink of nuclear war before the system was declared faulty. The Guardians interfered with the Soviet radar systems. They prevented a nuclear launch. There's more, Olivia said. Cuban Missile Crisis, 1962. Strange equipment malfunctions on both American and Soviet sides prevented escalation. The Chernobyl disaster could have been much worse. Unexplained containment of the radiation. Over and over, at critical moments, in human history there are these interventions. John sat back, processing the implications. They've been saving us from ourselves. The next day, the First Contact Committee received a new request from the Guardians. They wanted face-to-face meetings with humans. They would send representatives to Earth. The committee debated for hours about how to proceed. Some argued it was too dangerous to allow alien beings on the planet's surface. Others insisted this was the opportunity humanity had been waiting for. In the end, curiosity and the need for answers prevailed. A secure facility was prepared in a remote location in the Australian outback. Security was tight, with special forces from multiple nations standing by. The Guardian ship descended slowly, landing with impossible grace on the designated area. No engines were visible, no sound was made. It simply moved through the air as if gravity was optional. A door appeared in the seamless hull, opening to reveal a ramp. The human delegation, which included Ellen, William, John, and Olivia, held their breath. The being that emerged looked almost human. It stood upright on two legs, had two arms, and a head with facial features recognizable as eyes, nose, and mouth. But there were differences, subtle but unmistakable. Its skin had a faint blue undertone. Its eyes were larger, with pupils that adjusted like camera apertures. Its movements were too fluid, too perfect. "I am grateful for this meeting," the Guardian said in perfect English. "You may call me Adam. I have chosen this name from your cultures for ease of communication." Ellen stepped forward. "Why are you here? Why now?" Adam looked at each of them in turn. "We have protected your world for millennia. We have guided your development subtly, intervening only when necessary to prevent extinction-level events. But now something has changed," William said. Adam nodded. "Your technological advancement has made Earth visible to others in ways it was not before. Your radio transmissions, your space exploration, your nuclear technology, all these things announce your presence to the galaxy. And that's dangerous," John said, understanding dawning on his face. "Yes," Adam confirmed. "There are those who would see your world as a resource to be harvested. They are coming. We are here to stop them." "Why not tell us this from the beginning?" Olivia asked. "Because," Adam said, his expression unreadable, "there is much more you need to know about yourselves before you understand your place in the cosmos. And that knowledge will change everything." The meeting with Adam continued for hours in the Australian facility. The Guardian explained more about his species and their relationship with Earth. Their physical similarities to humans were not coincidental. They had evolved on a planet with similar conditions to Earth, though their star had died billions of years ago. "We are much older than your species," Adam told the human delegation. "We achieved space travel when your ancestors were still living, in trees." William Beck was fascinated by the Guardian's perfect command of English and human mannerisms. "You appear almost human," he noted. Adam smiled, the expression eerily familiar yet subtly wrong. This form was carefully designed to make you comfortable. My true appearance would be disturbing to human sensibilities. Ellen Wright pressed for more specific information about the threat that was coming. These harvesters you mentioned, what exactly are they? They are not like us, Adam explained. Not like you. They are more machine than biological now. They search the galaxy for resources, particularly rare metals and biological material. They have stripped thousands of worlds bare. When will they arrive? John Garrett asked. Soon, days perhaps. Our fleet is preparing defensive positions. Olivia Martinez had been quiet, analyzing everything. You said you've been protecting Earth for millennia. Why? What makes us special? Adam's expression changed subtly. That is a complex question. Let us say that humans have potential. After the initial meeting, Adam agreed to meet with smaller groups of scientists and officials. He allowed limited medical examinations, which revealed a biology similar to humans but with significant differences. Enhanced cellular regeneration, more efficient oxygen processing, and brain structures unlike anything seen on Earth. Meanwhile, Ellen gained access to the highest level of classified files regarding Guardian interactions. What she found was astonishing. Detailed records of Guardian interventions throughout human history, going back hundreds of years. During the Cold War alone, there had been at least 7 instances where nuclear war was imminent, only to be averted by unexplained equipment failures or sudden changes in military leaders' decisions. The Cuban Missile Crisis, the 1983 Soviet false alarm, and several other incidents had been subtly influenced by Guardian intervention. Even more surprising were records of Guardian representatives walking among humans. They had posed as ordinary people, sometimes for decades, gently guiding human development. Key scientific breakthroughs, peace treaties, and cultural shifts had been nudged along by these hidden influencers. Ellen brought her findings to John and Olivia. They've been shaping our entire history, she said, her voice a mix of awe and concern. But why maintain the secrecy? Olivia asked. Why not openly guide us? Adam said something about that, John recalled. He mentioned that species develop best when they believe they're making their own choices. While these discoveries were being processed, William Beck made a breakthrough in understanding the Guardians' language. Beyond the translation system they had provided, he had been analyzing the underlying structure of their native communication. It's not just a language, he explained to the others. It contains information encoded at multiple levels: sound, rhythm, light modulation. A single Guardian sentence can contain as much information as an entire human book. William's work led to an unexpected revelation. When he applied his analysis to historical records of unexplained radio signals from space, he found evidence that the Guardians had been sending messages to Earth for centuries, hidden in what humans had dismissed as cosmic background noise. On the 5th day, after Adam's arrival, John Garrett received a personal shock. While reviewing historical records of Guardian-human interactions, he found photographs from 1962 showing his grandfather, Robert Garrett, meeting with what appeared to be Guardians disguised as military advisors. My grandfather was part of this, he told Olivia, showing her the photos. He worked at the Pentagon during the Cuban Missile Crisis. These files suggest he knowingly collaborated with them to prevent the nuclear exchange. Did he ever mention anything unusual to you? Olivia asked. John shook his head. He died when I was young, but he left me a letter to be opened when I turned 30. It was vague, talking about Guardians watching over us and how we're not alone in the universe. I thought it was just philosophical rambling. That evening, Adam requested a meeting with all 4 key team members. His demeanor had changed. There was an urgency that hadn't been present before. Our sensors have detected the first harvesters entering your solar system, he announced without preamble. They will reach Earth's orbit within 48 hours. Ellen straightened. What can we do to help? Your military weapons would be largely ineffective against them, Adam said. But there are ways you can assist our defense efforts. He explained that the harvesters used electromagnetic fields to coordinate their attacks. Earth's existing satellite network could be modified to disrupt these fields. We need to centralize Earth's defensive capabilities, Adam continued. Your military forces must coordinate through a single command structure for this to work. Getting world governments to agree to this was a monumental task, but the immediate threat helped overcome political resistance. Within hours, a joint global defense command was established, with Ellen Wright as the human liaison to the Guardians. As preparations continued, Olivia Martinez discovered something unexpected in the Guardian ship's energy signatures. They matched ancient rock carvings found in caves around the world, patterns archaeologists had never fully explained. Look at this, she showed William, comparing the readings to images from caves in France, Australia, and South Africa. These carvings are up to 30,000 years old, but they perfectly depict the energy patterns of Guardian ships. William studied the patterns. They weren't just visiting Earth, they were teaching early humans about themselves. Adam confirmed this theory when presented with the evidence. Your earliest ancestors knew us, he said. We did not hide from them as we have from modern humans. They incorporated us into their understanding of the world. Why did that change? John asked. Why start hiding? As human societies grew more complex, our presence became disruptive. Some began to worship us as gods. Others feared us as demons. Neither was productive for your development. The conversation was interrupted by an alert. The first harvester ships had been detected passing Jupiter's orbit, moving faster than anticipated. We must prepare, Adam said, rising. The real test begins now. Outside the facility, the night sky flickered with unusual lights as Guardian ships moved into battle positions. Around the world, people looked up in wonder and fear, not knowing that the fate of Earth hung in the balance. In orbit above Earth, the Guardian fleet shifted formation. They were creating a protective shield around the planet, preparing to meet an enemy humans had never seen, but that had haunted the galaxy for millennia. The protectors were ready for battle. Humanity was about to learn its true place in the cosmos, for better or worse. The harvester ships entered Earth's orbit 36 hours after Adam's warning. They appeared as dark, angular shapes against the stars, moving with mechanical precision. Unlike the Guardian vessels, these ships had visible weapons systems and bore scars from previous battles. There were over 200 of them approaching Earth from multiple vectors. From the command center established beneath the Australian outback, Ellen Wright coordinated Earth's defensive efforts with military leaders from around the world. Satellite systems had been reprogrammed according to Guardian specifications. Ground-based energy arrays were ready to generate electromagnetic pulses if needed. They're not responding to any communication attempts, Ellen reported to Adam, who stood calmly beside her, watching the tactical displays. They never do, Adam said. They do not recognize other sentient life as worthy of communication. To them, all planets are simply resources to be consumed. Outside, civilians around the world watch the skies with a mixture of fear and wonder. News networks broadcast continuous coverage of the unfolding events, though most cameras could only capture distant flashes of light as the Guardian fleet moved to intercept the harvesters. The battle began without warning. The harvester ships launched swarms of smaller craft that darted toward Earth. Guardian vessels intercepted them, destroying them with beams of energy that human instruments could barely measure. They're targeting our satellite network, John, Garrett said, monitoring the data feeds. Trying to blind us first. Olivia Martinez worked with a team of scientists to maintain Earth's defensive shield. The modified satellite network was proving effective at disrupting the harvesters' coordination, but the enemy was adapting quickly. The harvesters are changing frequencies, she warned. We need to adjust our countermeasures. William Beck had been analyzing the communication patterns between harvester ships. They're using a binary communication system, he noted. Much simpler than the Guardian language, but incredibly fast. It's almost like computer code. The battle raged for hours. From Earth's surface, it appeared as an unprecedented meteor shower, streaks of light crisscrossing the night sky as Guardian weapons found their targets. The harvesters fought back with devastating energy weapons that occasionally broke through the Guardian lines, burning up in the atmosphere like falling stars. In cities and towns around the world, people gathered together to watch the sky. Some prayed. Others held their loved ones close. Few understood the true nature of what they were witnessing, an ancient conflict that had finally reached Earth. In the command center, Adam received a communication from the Guardian Fleet commander. His expression changed subtly as he processed the information. "The Harvesters have deployed their primary weapon," he told Ellen, "a gravity distortion device that could tear apart your moon and destabilize Earth's orbit." "How do we stop it?" Ellen asked, maintaining her composure despite the existential threat. "We have technology that can counter it, but we need to concentrate our fleet's energy. This will leave parts of Earth temporarily unprotected." Ellen made the decision without hesitation. "Do it. We'll handle whatever gets through." Adam nodded, with what looked almost like respect. He relayed the orders to the Guardian Fleet. Above Earth, the Guardian ships gathered in a new formation. Energy began to flow between them, creating a web of light visible even from the ground. The Harvesters pressed their advantage in other sectors, sending more attack craft toward Earth. Military forces worldwide engaged the Harvester drones that broke through. Fighter jets scrambled, firing missiles at targets they could barely track. Ground-based lasers targeted smaller drones. It was humanity's first true interstellar battle, fighting alongside allies they had only just met. John Garrett discovered something in the historical files that suddenly became relevant. "During the Cold War, we developed experimental EMP weapons that were never deployed," he told Ellen. "The designs were based on technology we couldn't explain, technology that must have come from the Guardians. Can we build them now?" Ellen asked. "They already exist," John replied, "hidden in bunkers around the world." With Adam's approval, these secret weapons were activated. Massive pulses of electromagnetic energy swept across strategic areas, disabling swarms of Harvester drones instantly. In orbit, the Guardian energy web reached critical mass. A pulse of blinding light erupted from their formation, engulfing the Harvester mothership that carried the gravity weapon. When the light faded, the threat was gone. The battle continued for another 6 hours before the remaining Harvester ships retreated. The cost had been high. Dozens of Guardian vessels destroyed and areas of Earth suffering damage from Harvester weapons that had broken through the defenses. But the planet was safe. As dawn broke over Australia, world leaders gathered to meet with Adam and the Guardian Command. The question on everyone's mind was simple. What now? Adam addressed the assembled leaders with characteristic directness. "You have a choice to make. We can reveal ourselves fully to your world, establish open relations between our peoples, or we can continue as before, protecting Earth from the shadows." The debate was intense. Some leaders argued for transparency. Humanity deserved to know the truth about their cosmic neighbors and protectors. Others feared the social, religious, and economic upheaval that would follow such a revelation. "What happens if we go public?" Ellen asked Adam privately. "Your society would change forever," he replied. "Some changes would be positive. Unified purpose, accelerated technology, an end to many conflicts. Others would be challenging, religious crises, economic disruption, fear of the unknown." In the end, a compromise was reached. The official story would be that Earth had experienced an unusual meteor shower. The Guardian fleet would remain in orbit but cloaked from conventional detection. A select group of humans would maintain contact with the Guardians, preparing humanity gradually for eventual full disclosure. "This isn't just about Earth anymore," John told Olivia as they watched the sunrise. "We're part of something bigger now." "We always were," she replied. "We just didn't know it." In the months that followed, the world slowly returned to normal, or what passed for normal when humans knew they weren't alone in the universe. The Guardian fleet maintained its protective position, invisible to most, but always present. Selected, individuals from around the world were quietly recruited into a new organization dedicated to human-Guardian relations. Scientists, soldiers, teachers, artists, people with the skills and temperament to bridge the gap between species, and deep beneath the lunar surface, construction began on a joint human-Guardian base. the first step toward humanity's new role in the cosmos. 5 years later, Lisa Garrett, John's daughter, became one of the first humans to serve aboard a Guardian vessel. As her ship prepared to leave the solar system, she looked back at the blue marble of Earth, protected by invisible guardians that few humans knew existed. This was why no one talked about the alien fleet that entered Earth's orbit unannounced. Not because there was nothing to say, but because the truth was both simpler and more complex than anyone could imagine. We were never alone. We were always protected. And now, at last, we were ready to join our guardians among the stars.